In the first section of the Intro to Wine, we will discuss the history, some brief terminology, and the production of wine. Wine is believed to be developed around 8,000 years ago, in many places around the Middle East. Wine is an alcoholic beverage made from fermented grapes or other fruits. The natural chemical balance of grapes lets them ferment without the addition of sugars, acids, enzymes, water, or other nutrients. Yeast consumes the sugars in the grapes and converts them into alcohol and carbon dioxide. Different varieties of grapes and strains of yeasts produce different types of wine. First, let's go over some basic terminology needed for this course. Vintage refers to the year the grapes were grown and harvested. A varietal describes a wine made primarily from a single named grape variety. For example, the Chardonnay grape creates a Chardonnay wine. A vintner is a person engaged in winemaking, or a winemaker. Next, let's discuss the production of wine. Wines can be grouped into the 6 primary categories: white wines, red wines, rosé wines, sparkling wines, dessert wines and fortified wines. There are many wine production styles used for the different types of wines being created. What follows is a general interpretation of the winemaking process. There are 2 different types of grapes, white grapes and black grapes. White grapes are never literally white, but instead are lighter-skinned grapes that can be green, yellow-green, gold or light orange. Black grapes, called such because black is the opposite of white, are also never literally black. Rather, they are grapes with a red or blue tint, and range from light ruby to a deep indigo. The stem or stalk is often detached from the grape prior to crushing, a process known as de-stemming. Stems contain a high amount of tannins and are sometimes kept with the grape juice in order to transfer those tannins to the juice. This is seen more commonly in red wine production, because they tend to have much higher levels of tannins. After grapes are harvested, they are placed in a clean container and crushed. No matter what type of wine is being created, after the crushing of the grapes, the juice is always sent to the fermentation vessel. However, in red wine production the skins of the grapes are left in the juice during the fermentation process. The skin of a black grape is arguably the most important ingredient of red wine. Because the pulp of the grape is colorless, the tannins and color compounds of the skin are necessary to give red wine its beautiful color. The pigment from the skins is transferred into the wine, when the skins are left in the juice during fermentation. This process is called maceration. Yeast which are added by the winemaker, interact with the sugar in the grape juice to produce alcohol, a process known as fermentation. Fermentation requires time. Wine can ferment for 3 days or 3 years, depending on the style of wine the winemaker is trying to produce. Oak and stainless steel barrels are today's most popular choices for the location of the fermentation process. The type of container used to ferment the wine is important for the different characteristics the winemaker wishes to impart upon their own wine. The fermentation process of any wine may undergo 1 to 3 steps, depending on the winemaker. After initial fermentation, the wine may go through secondary fermentation. During the secondary fermentation and aging process, which takes 3 to 6 months, the fermentation continues very slowly. The wine is kept under an airlock to protect the wine from oxidation. Proteins from the grape are broken down and the remaining yeast cells and other fine particles from the grapes are allowed to settle. Another part of the fermentation process may be malolactic fermentation. Malolactic fermentation occurs when lactic acid bacteria metabolize malic acid and produce lactic acid and carbon dioxide. This process is carried out either as an intentional procedure during the aging process, or by chance. Malolactic fermentation can improve the taste of wine that has high levels of malic acid. Because malic acid, in higher concentration, generally causes an unpleasant harsh and bitter taste sensation, whereas lactic acid is more gentle and less sour. The use of lactic acid bacteria is the reason why some Chardonnays can taste buttery, or creamy. All red wines go through complete malolactic fermentation, both to lessen the acid of the wine and to remove the possibility that malolactic fermentation will occur in the bottle. Lighter aromatic wines such as Riesling generally do not go through malolactic fermentation. After fermentation, some wines may go through the blending process. The blending process is where several wines are blended together to achieve a desired flavor. These adjustments can be as simple as adjusting acid or tannin levels, to as complex as blending different varieties or vintages to achieve a consistent taste. Filtration in winemaking is used to accomplish two objectives: clarification and microbial stabilization. In clarification, large particles that affect the visual appearance of the wine are removed. In microbial stabilization, organisms that affect the stability of the wine are removed, therefore reducing the likelihood of re-fermentation or spoilage. The final step in wine production is bottling. Sulfites are typically added to help preserve the wine and prevent unwanted fermentation in the bottle. The wine bottles then are traditionally sealed with a cork, synthetic corks, or screw caps.